Hello everyone, GeneralApple here with another custom card review video. But today we have a special video because I'm not gonna review other people's cards. Instead, I'm gonna review my own. Yes, these cards that you're about to see are my own creation. It took me over a month or about a month or so to make all of these cards. I believe we have 5 of them if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, these are super juicy cards that I've created as custom cards for Magic the Gathering because I recently just started playing Magic again, and I'm super excited to show you guys these cards because I did put my heart and soul into them. Now, before we go, a bit of background. I just love Jujutsu Kaisen. If you've seen my videos, you know it. I talk about it all the time. I think it's one of the best mangas slash animes in recent times. And in all times, if I'm being honest. I'm just in love with this anime. And I really wanted to create cool and unique cards for Magic the Gathering. And when I created them, I specifically targeted standard play. And I also want to make them as realistic as possible so they can be playable. So, you know, if they were ever printed, they could be viable in standard Magic, because I believe this is the most fun way to create cards. Because when you create cards that are just like over the top, nobody really likes them, you really want to find that balance between accuracy and viability in terms of gameplay. So I think I've done a pretty decent job in getting that balance right, and hopefully you guys will free to comment and tell me if I got the wording correctly. I did try my best to get the best Magic wording correctly, because you do need to know how to word card and how to specify in Magic, because this is a real life card game, so you need to be precise, and I tried my best to do so, especially with some of these cards, because, you know, they have some juicy text on them. And yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Of course, I try to be as accurately as I can with the flavor, because all of these cards without flavor would mean nothing. So I try to be as most accurate when it comes to the color, the keywords, the gameplay, everything. Just everything they do, the text, all of it. I even added my own flavor text from the series for those of you who watched. Now, without further ado, spoiler alert, it's super important. If you haven't watched the series season 1 and 2, don't watch this video. There's going to be a heavy spoiler up ahead, so I am warning you guys beforehand. But with all of that being said and done, let's dive right into the first card. So, what we have here is Yuji Itadori. Now, I decided to make him Boros mana and 3 colorless, so it's 5 mana overall. And Itadori Yuji is a legendary creature, human sorcerer, and oh wait, I also should say I used Nexus to create those custom cards, which is a really wonderful site. I should always credit them. And now, let's come back to the card. So Itadori Yuji, 5 mana, Boros, Trample, and Flash. He's a 4/4 stat line, and he has an ability, Black Flash. Whenever Yuji Itadori deals combat damage, transform Yuji Itadori to his other side. And you may cast a spell anytime. You can cast an instant. That is what Flash is doing, if you didn't know that. And yeah, basically, you're just supposed to play him at like a Flash speed, so Black Flash with Flash. I thought it was pretty cool. And also, Yuji is super fast. If you watch the series, you already know this. And yeah, whenever he deals combat damage, mostly can use for defense. I mean, that's what I kind of aimed him to do. You can just wait for your opponent to attack, and then you cast Yuji and immediately block, gain some damage, and after he deals damage, you immediately transform him. This is the flip side. Yuji Itadori Enlightened, legendary creature, human sorcerer, trample and vigilance, and you have consecutive Black Flash. Whenever Yuji Itadori Enlightened attacks, choose one. Yuji Itadori Enlightened gets 2 +1/+1 counters, or he gets First Strike. So yeah, pretty cool and very simple. Just basically use him for defense, and then on your turn he's ready to attack, and when he attacks, you can put either First Strike counter on him, on just put just +2/+2, And that's really, really cool. I think that's a really neat effect. It represents Yuji at the best way possible of being super fast and super powerful. Also hitting with a consecutive black flash. I think this is very thematic. Him being Boros, having that aggressive side, but also that righteous side. The side that wants to side with the good people, with the order. That is the white color, and the red is obviously all about the speed, the rage, and really, really just perfectly summarized as a card, in my opinion at least, and hopefully you guys think the same. So that was Yuji Itadori. We want to start with the main character, but I guess there's a lot of main characters. He is not the only one. And now we're gonna go to the big boss, Ryomen Sukuna. Now, he does have quite a text on him, and I will admit he's the only card that I kind of try to strike the balance between standard and maybe like commander, but this is the only card. The others are aimed specifically for standard, but with Sukuna it's quite different because of the effect that I was trying to achieve here, but soon we'll read the card and you'll understand why. So, Ryomen Sukuna, 3 colorless, 2 black, 2 red, obviously Rakdos, he's the epitome of evil. There's not a single color I would choose for him that is non-Rakdos. Is literally just evil. That's pretty much it. So yeah, 7 mana is kind of costly, but you will understand soon enough why. So, he's a 7 mana 5/5 with Menace and Haste, and when Ryomen Sukuna enters the battlefield, each player sacrifice all non-land permanents under his control. So, pretty neat effect. Now, on a 7 mana unit, that is kind of slow, but he can be cheated. That's what I kind of try to achieve here. And whenever Ryomen Sukuna would die or put into exile, instead you may exile him with 1 finger counter on him. Whenever a non-land permanent is put into a graveyard from anywhere while Ryomen Sukuna is in exile with at least 1 finger counter on him, put 1 finger counter on Ryomen Sukuna. Then, if there are 20 finger counters on Ryomen Sukuna, you may cast him without paying his mana cost. So, more realistically, this is a commander card rather than standard, simply because this effect would never see the light of day in standard. It's just too slow. But it's a pretty cool creature you can try to run in standard. You can cheat him out, you can make your opponent sacrifice. Well, it's each player, so you only remain with Sukuna on the battlefield. So, in terms of power level, I'm not really sure how powerful he is. I think it's on the lower side, but I might be mistaken. I mean, this effect is pretty cool. It might be really, really powerful. It's one of those things that has to be tested. but yeah, I think it's maybe on the lower side, especially in the current meta. I'm not talking like, this card is gonna come out in the next expansion or so. I just really aimed it for standard. But I think this card is on the lower side. I think it's really, really cool. His effect would be awesome in Commander. And that's pretty much all there is to it. There's, of course, flavor text. Feel free to stop the video and read each of the flavor texts if you're a fan of the series. I'm pretty sure you will appreciate those. But yeah, that was pretty much the idea behind Sukuna. Obviously, the 20 fingers to fully resurrect him. That's the whole ordeal behind the whole exile mechanic. And him being mega costly just makes sense because he's the ultimate curse. He's literally the king of all curses. Having such a powerful effect on ETB, really powerful as well. Having Menace and Haste on top of that is really powerful. So yeah, all in all, I think this is Ryomen Sukuna. Epitome here is really, really powerful. Really cool card. And hopefully, Wizard, please make this kick. Now, for our next card, we have a simpler card. We have Nobara Kugisaki. She is 1 colorless, 2 red, and 2/3 stat line with first strike. Now, she has an ability, Resonance. Whenever you attack with Nobara Kugisaki, you may discard any number of cards. When you discard 1 or more cards this way, deal X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the amount of card discarded this way plus 2. So if you discard 1 card, you deal 3 damage. If you discard 2 cards, you deal 4, and so on and so forth. And if a creature or planeswalker would be damaged from this effect, deal X damage to their controller. So you already figured it out. This is literally the Resonance ability from the series, where she just damage 1 part of your body, essentially, but the damage always goes back to the main body. So this is a pretty cool effect, and I really want to represent it in the card as well, and I believe this is quite the way to do so. And I think that she's just really good. I mean, 3 mana 2/3 may seem really, really bad for red, especially like mono red, because she is 2 red and 1 colorless, so it will be difficult to run her in other cards, maybe in like 2 colors, especially when she doesn't have haste. But the effect itself seems really powerful. I mean, you get to discard the cards and you get to deal X damage to creatures, so I kind of aimed her towards a mid-rangey type of deck. And just a really neat effect, because you can use her to clear a lot of things. She also has First Strike, so that can become relevant. And yeah, that's pretty much the effect. I believe she is, again, on the lower side, because I didn't want to make overly powered cards. So I ended up just making them a bit less powerful than what they probably could be. But yeah, this is Nobara Kugisaki. God, kind of confused there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I represented her effect in a pretty precise way in terms of magic, and hopefully you guys will agree with this. So, the other card is a pretty neat one. This is Fushiguro Megumi. I made him Bunt because I believe Bunt is literally him. It's just pure-hearted, is a good boy. I do really like him. Also, I should say, I made Nobara red because she's literally like hyper-aggressive. But with Megumi, his like Bunt is the perfect representation, and you're gonna see why soon. Honestly, it just fits him so well because he's such good nature and kind-hearted. He is not letting anyone die before him. He's willing to sacrifice himself, and I think Bunt represents him the best. Also, with the effect you're gonna see soon, everything just connects. So, legendary creature, human sorcerer, of course. When Fushiguro Megumi enters the battlefield, choose one. Oh, he's a 2/2, by the way, a 5 mana 2/2. Wait for it. When he enters the battlefield, you get to choose one. You create Bancho, a legendary 5/5 white elephant creature token with trample. You can create Nue, which is a legendary 3/3 bluebird creature token with flying, or you can create Gyokuken Kon, a legendary 4/4 green wolf creature token with haste. So, already, blink effects are really, really good on him. That's why he's so poorly statted, because he gets it with, you know, the really sick tokens he gets to summon. And of course, the tokens are all from the series. You can already know. You have the Bancho, the Elephant, the Nue, the Gyokukun Kon. All of this represented here. And I believe it's the perfect representation because just the elephant is a big boy, so 5/5 with trample. You got the flyer, which is a bit on the weaker side, but he does have flying. And you have the wolf, which is, again, mid-statted, but he got haste. And I think that is really good. I mean, obviously, he's really, really good with blink effects. All of this are making sense because he is a summoner. Bunt is the color of summoning, usually tokens, so that is outstanding. Everything just connects. And obviously blue represents intelligence, which is probably the most Megumi thing ever. White, kind nature, and green is the strength and the summoning of beasts. So everything just connect perfectly into Bunt, just making this wonderful, wonderful card. And I believe the theme and the effects are all on spot. That, at least in my opinion. In terms of balancing, I believe this is great. I don't think it's too powerful, but I don't think it's weak either. I think these effects are really, really neat, especially if you have like a really good blink meta, which we don't have right now, but maybe in the future. You know, we used to have blink metas, any Euron enjoyers, I believe that's how it's called, Euron. Yeah, if you know this card, you know. Really cool with the Fushiguro Megumi. Also, a really neat card. And that's pretty much it for him. So now we have one before the final card. We got Mahito. Another evil character. Now, obviously, 2 colorless and Sultai mana because Mahito is ultra evil. And I didn't even think about it at first, but it kind of came out this way. I just made him Sultai because I believe the colors are perfectly represent Mahito. And then I realized they're the complete opposite of Yuji. I mean, Yuji is Boros. Literally, the two other cards that are the 2 other colors that are missing from Mahito are the complete opposite of Yuji. That is incredible. I mean, that is incredible. Just the complete opposite, and it just goes to show you how magic flavor is so good, because you know you just go by representation and everything suddenly makes sense. So obviously. Sultai represent necromancy and all of this vile stuff, which is perfect for Mahito. It doesn't exactly perform necromancy, more like manipulation of souls, but again, that is like literally necromancy, right? It's, you know, you get me, you get me. So Sultai it is, and he is 5 mana, 2/6, which is really poorly statted, but he does have a Death Touch and Lifelink to kind of cover that weakness. Now, his effect is Mahito gets +2/+2 for each transfigured soul attached to him, and after Mahito damages a creature or planeswalker, you may exile that card and attach it to Mahito as a transfigured soul. So basically, after you damage something, and of course you have Death Touch, so it will probably die, even though it does, even if for some reason it does not die, you still get to exile it. But for most cases, it would be really important, unless the creature have like indestructible or something, which is very rare. But yeah, so every time you damage a creature or a planeswalker, it doesn't matter if it's your own or your opponent's, you get to exile it and make it and attach it to Mahito as a transfigured soul. And then you have his ability, Ideal Transfiguration. Transform Mahito to his other side. Activate only if you have at least 3 transfigured souls attached to Mahito. So whenever you exile something, you get to grow. So you have stats on board. It's not like completely useless. He have lifelink, which is good. It pretty much forces your opponent to somehow deal with him. That being said, I still think is Giga Wick on this side. But if you ever get to flip him, you get Mahito True Form. A legendary creature, Curse Spirit, and with basically just 12 and 12 stat line, Death Touch, Lifelink, Trample, and Indestructible. Very simple, just game ending. It's supposed to be like a tally in that regard, where if you get to flip her, you just kind of win the game. Really sick effect, really, really neat. Obviously, not gonna happen a lot of times, but if you do, you probably won. Unless you have Exile, and then you're kind of dead. But, but yeah, pretty cool card. Pretty cool card. If you get to flip him, I think it represents him perfectly. Just basically having that trample and indestructible once you reach true form, because he's giga powerful. Of course, if you watch the series, you already know he's not really indestructible. But you know, you can say Yuji sent him to exile if you want to. But yeah, that's pretty much all for Mahito. So now we have the last and final card. Well, I guess the last and final, kind of redundant, but yeah, final card. We got a man himself, the best boy, Gojo Satoru. His, of course, is that, which is just, you know, like literally, come on. It literally represents sorcery and red and blue. It couldn't get better than this. One might say he might be Jeskai, but that's not necessarily true, because he's not all about order. He's kind of chaotic, if I'm even saying this correctly. I mean, he's not really all about order. He doesn't obey the rules. He's just kind of above them. So I think Izet represents him perfectly. And 6 mana, 5/5 with flying and first strike. First strike because he's like giga fast, and flying because he can literally fly. And this picture was actually from him flying. So yeah. And his effect is Hollow Purple. At the beginning of each end step, if you have casted at least 2 red and blue instant or sorcery spell this turn, deal 10 damage to any target. If a permanent an opponent controlled was dealt excess damage this way, the excess damage goes to that card controller. So yeah, Hollow Purple just mash through everything, just literally go through every single thing. If you know what Hollow Purple does, you know this effect is exactly doing what it's supposed to do. And yeah, pretty really just neat card. And if this wasn't really clear, when I wrote here, you have casted at least 2 red and blue instant or sorcery. It can be either one red or 1 blue, or basically just a combination. You can cast like 2 Izet spells, that also counts. But you cannot cast, I guess, I mean, I don't know if I worded it correctly, but you can't cast like only 2 blue spells or 2 red spells. This won't count. Now, I don't know if I worded this correctly. I try to be, again, as accurate as I possibly can. But the meaning behind this was that you need to cast 2 red spells and blue spells in the same turn. So 2 reset spells are fine, 1 red spell and 1 blue spell is also fine. Just not 2 blue spells or not 2 red spells. That's basically it. Because you want to create that purple, right? You can create it with only blue or only red. And once you do reach it, you get to deal 10 damage to any target, which is insane. It's just insane. Now, will this card ever see play? I don't think so. I actually think it's on the weaker side, because 6 mana 5/5 that pretty much does nothing whenever you play him is kind of a death sentence in current Magic. That being said, if you somehow manage to defend him, which is not completely impossible because you do run blue, that is kind of nuts. That is kind of nuts. I believe if this card saw play in, how do you call it, Strixhaven, I believe this card would have seen play. 100% would have seen play. So it kind of meta dependent. I don't believe this card would see play in the current meta, but in meta where Izet have a lot of cool, really powerful card, like, you know, Strixhaven, I believe this card would 100% seize play. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The flavor text is, of course, throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one. You know, because I want to be edgy and cool. But that's pretty much all for this card review, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this video, because I did put a lot of effort into it, and I just really enjoyed making all of these custom cards. So if you guys enjoyed it, make sure to let me know in the comments below. I will make more if you guys want to see it, and that's basically about it. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.